Hi everyone, it's Jenny and Happy New Year. It is January and I thought that good video to do for 2021 would maybe be how much does my dog cost in New York City? How much does it cost to own a dog? So this is my first dog. Daphne's behind me, like she's a little smaller back there. She's very happy in her bed right now, so I didn't want to bother her. But anyway, it could cost a little or a lot to own a dog in general, wherever you are. It really depends on your decision and your budgeting. So I'm gonna talk about how much I pay for Daphne in New York City. And if you live in the Midwest or you live in the South of the United States, then I would probably halve what I'm telling you of what I paid. So if you want to know how much it costs to own a dog, I'm going to go through so many line items with a little screenshot of an Excel table that I created. Forgive me for all the little typos and mistakes I make, but at least the numbers are real. So let's get started. Okay, so I thought the most useful way to really split up how I paid for everything and am still paying for a lot of things is through capital costs versus operation and maintenance costs. And if you're in the construction industry or some kind of building or major project industry, then you would really understand me. So please comment down below if you appreciate the fact that I divided it into capital and O&M costs. Okay, so unfortunately, I had to tweak my numbers, which means that I'm going to put the Excel sheet on the full screen, but this is important. So I think it's worth it to actually look at the Excel sheet instead of my face. I'll put a photo of Daphne or something or a video of her in the corner so that it's not as boring. But honestly, this is important stuff because this is your money as dog parent. So let's do it. So the actual dog is gonna be $425. That is what I paid. So if you look at column B, it's gonna show what I actually paid. And then I'm going to estimate what it might cost you if you don't live in New York City and you live in the rest of the United States. These are US dollar prices. And you don't live in San Francisco. So if you don't live in a major city that costs a lot of money to live in, then these prices might potentially apply to you. So $425 for the dog. I think in the Midwest, I have seen prices that are more like $300. So let's put that there. The bed, you actually don't even need a bed. You can just buy 2 blankets from Target for $40 and we can call it a day. And then the crate, you can buy it off Amazon or whatever you want to buy it from. It's going to cost about $70, but I mean, you can be smart about it. This is really the cheap kind of way. You can buy it off Facebook, something used or something given away from a different Greyhound owner. Let's put $0 there. A crate mat, still gonna cost you the same as what I paid. Bowls and raised feeders, you can get pretty basic ones for about $15. Toys, you know, you don't need to buy that many toys for your dog. Let's just put $10 there. Treats, $15. And you know, this is kind of arbitrary as well, so just bear with me. I really paid way too much for the leash. You can get a super cheap leash for like $10. I use one that is 6 feet and nylon. They are light and that's what I like. I would really buy toothbrush and toothpaste, and that cost isn't really going to change because Chewy is Chewy and Amazon is Amazon. They don't usually change prices depending on the city that you're in, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think they're pretty fixed. So the collar and leash, I was also splurging a little. You can really pay way less than that. You can pay like another $10 just for the collar. You don't need another leash. Winter coat, you know, some people think that this is optional. I personally don't think so. If your dog is going to go outside and you don't live in Florida, you don't live in Georgia, if you live in a cold area, this is going to cost you something. So I'm going to just assume you live in a cold area, and let's put, you know, $45 for a sturdy winter coat. You know, I think maybe the fall coat is optional, so I will put $0 there. The raincoat, that's also optional. You can put $0 there. It's all depending upon your preference. This is a must in my opinion. Kibble container, same, $30. I really think it's a good investment to buy a good one. I mean, it could be cheaper, so let's try 20. Grooming brush, let's keep it at 8. Shampoo, you can spend $10. Nail grinder, I think there are cheaper versions out there for like $12. All this stuff is first aid, and I think it's quite important to have it. So these prices don't change very much, so I'm just going to copy it over. Parental, you know, this depends on whether your greyhound has hookworm and whether this is one of the medications that you're going to be using. So yeah, I just am not going to put that in there. I'm going to assume that you have a healthy dog that doesn't need hookworm treatment, but if it does and you're going to use the same 3 combination medicines that I use, then you can look at this column B. This stuff, flea and tick spray, you don't need it, but I like to use it. Initial shots on all of that. This is where it's going to be the biggest difference, because vets simply cost enough and way too much money in New York City. It's about ranges between $80 to $150 just for the exam. No tests, no nothing. But I would think it really is half of that or less. So for the initial exam plus the heartworm tests, I'm going to put $100. Please don't yell at me in the comments. This is just really an estimate of something that is not a New York City cost. And for those who live in large cities that are way too expensive, then you can kind of work off my column B. Vaccine boost, I'm going to put something like 30. The CCL issue that she had, which included another vet visit, you know, I'm going to put, you know, $50 for that. A hookworm test, I think it's going to cost half that. This total is all of the above. So I'm going to just drag all this. I know there's a shorter way to doing it, but Google Sheets is a bit different. So I'm just going to do it the long way. So the total capital cost, meaning everything that goes out of your pocket for things that you only pay for once and you don't pay for again in that first year of owning your pet, you need to buy all of these things. Or better said, I bought all of these things, and it's up to you whether you want to buy all of these things. I think I put 0 for a lot of things that are optional for column D. So let's look at how much money you could be spending if you don't live in New York City and you also are very more budget minded for your dog. It is really just half, you know? So $811, and the vast majority of that is the cost of the actual dog. If you look at column D and you look at how much you're paying for different things, the dog is $300, and I'm sure you can get greyhounds for even cheaper. So let's move on to operating and maintenance costs per month. So these are repetitive costs that you're going to be paying continually, even after the first year of owning your dog and in the first year of owning your dog as well. So because Daphne has hookworm, she's using 3 different medications to treat that. It is drug-resistant hookworm that she has. So above, I already mentioned the Parental. And she also has the Advantage Multi Plus. She also gets the Panicure. So these things, you know, again, if your dog didn't have hookworm, let's put a 0 there. 0, 0, 0. I used the glucosamine because she had that CCL issue, and that helps with ligament health. So I'm going to put a 0 there as well. Vet visits, I split this. I just assumed that we would have 2 vet visits a year, and I divided that into 12. So I'm just going to put, like, you go to 150 into 12. So that's $4.17. Insurance, you know, if you live out in a suburb and you don't interact with a whole bunch of dogs and you don't take your dog to the dog run, then maybe you don't need insurance. Let's put 0 there. 0 for the other pet assurance that I have, which gives me discounts for wellness visits. Poop bags, you really can't get rid of those, so that's there. Treats just keep coming. Food keeps coming, so I'm going to copy that right over. And annual teeth cleaning. I think this is important. I don't know that it's really annual. And again, I divided the whole cost into 12. So really, the whole cost of an annual teeth cleaning in New York City is, oopsies, is like $1,000. This is actually a really low price, because I've been calling around and it's really more like $1,500, because I have to do the blood work for her as well, and that costs $174 in itself. So it's really more like $125 that you're spending if I divide it up in a month, since we're doing a monthly O&M cost. So if we look at what it costs elsewhere, I believe it costs around $400. So we're going to use that, and look at that, people. This is why you don't live in New York City. Okay. Yes. So the total of the base O&M, and I included the right numbers, for a month is $303. If you're going to have the annual teeth cleaning every year. And let's sum up what it's going to cost outside of the city for someone who is being pretty frugal. Yeah, $87.50. And then if you just multiply that by 12, you're going to get a whole year worth. So look at the difference. 3636 and 1050. So it's triple the cost for operation and maintenance for having a dog in New York City rather than having it somewhere else. And I totally believe that. So here are some other optional monthly costs that I put down that I bought for her. So I have paw balm for her because she's always walking on pretty harsh New York City concrete. I went off on a bit of a shoe craze, and I paid I spent like $240 on all of her shoes. I'm assuming that you would go use a dog walker once a month, and that's just, you know, maybe it's an emergency, maybe you're sick. Doggy daycare once a month, that's how much it costs in New York City to take your dog to daycare once, you know, for one session. And this is how much it's going to cost you to overnight board your dog in New York City, at least. It could be like twice that cost if you take it to a dog hotel or something, but I am not going to do that. So all of this is totally optional. So I'm just going to put 0, 0, 0. None of this paid for. You're never going to go on vacation, and maybe your friend is so kind they'll just take care of your dog for free. So it's 0 and it's 0 here. So this is the moment that you've all been waiting for. Grand total of capital and O&M costs for the first year. So this is an annual cost the first year that I got Daphne. This is probably how much money I spent. And remember what it was. Sorry about the sighing. You know, this is not the most joyful exercise, but I knew I had to do it, and this is useful. Just the base without the option, we have 3,634. And then with the option, it's 5,582. And I promise you that there are probably people in New York City, there are a lot of people who take their dog to doggy daycare like 10 times a month, or once every week or something like that. And that budget is just gonna blow over. They're gonna be spending between $7,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 maybe on their dog per year. And I simply just don't have the money to do. Let's look at how much it costs if you were not living in New York City and you were being smarter, I guess, with your money. So 811, and then we're just gonna add the base of the annual. That's 1,861. So that's your number. I hope this video was useful for you. I hope you have good habits for budgeting in 2021. And I just want to bless everyone who's watching this video. I especially want to thank a bunch of people who have messaged me on my Instagram. Well, it's her Instagram, Daphne_DE_DOGUE, who have said, we really enjoy your videos and thank you so much for posting. So thank you so much for those beautiful, lovely messages. They kind of gave me hope in continuing these videos. And yeah. Let me know what you pay for your dog down in the comments below, and please don't forget to subscribe. So until next time, thanks and bye! Are you gonna pay your rent? You're gonna pay for your own food? You're gonna get some cost recovering going? Do you think you're gonna get a job? No? You just want a sugar mama?